Alright, third grade, it's finally time for everybody's favorite point of the year. It's clay. So this year you get to make a pinch pot animal. So notice there's this open hole in here. This is the actual pinch pot. This is an example of my animal. Everybody's animal is going to be a little bit different. So it's got a pinch pot body. The head and the legs are not a part of the pinch pot. You just attach them on. So we're going to start out with the actual pinch pot, and you're going to build your animal from there. Okay, so you're going to start out with your piece of clay. And what you need to do is you need to take it and cut about a third of it off. So if you divided this into 3 sections, you need to cut 1/3 of it off, because this will become legs later on. So this is my slab of clay. And so now I'm going to do, just like I would do in kindergarten, where I would start to take off the edges. So I'm just kind of roll the edges like that, and then I'm just going to start to say hi to my clay. So saying hi to my clay means I'm literally going, hi, how are you doing? So that's how I'm going to get that pinch pot ball shape. So I'm rolling it. And when you're working with clay, you want to make sure that you work with it as little as possible, because the more you work with it, the drier your clay gets. So I'm rolling my clay. I'm going to roll it a little bit. Okay, so as soon as I have the ball done, stop playing with it. So now, before I move on, I want to smooth out these cracks. So I'm going to take a little tiny bit of water, and I'm going to use my thumb, and I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll it, and I keep pushing that clay around. Pushing. Okay. Making sure I don't take a gouge out from the one side. Alright. And I'm going to roll. So that is my ball of clay. Next, for any basic pinch pot, you're going to take your thumb and you're going to stick it straight in. And I'm going to pinch and pinch and pinch. I'm going to keep going all the way around. Basic pinch pot stuff. If you guys are doing an animal that is going to be standing up, you need to stick your thumb in, make more of an oval. Stick your thumb in a little bit deeper. But I'm going to keep with a rounded shape. Okay, so I'm going to thin out my walls, maybe push them up a little bit, and keep going. Alright, so now I have to kind of boop it down a little bit on the table so that I have a flat bottom for me to work with. If I notice the outside edge of my pinch pot, it has some rough spots, so I'm just taking a little tiny dot of water, and with 1 dot of water, I can smooth out this whole thing. I actually have to press down a little bit to smooth it out. Your hands, by the end of this, should not be this like covered globbing goo of clay. So notice how I have like no clay on my hand now. Alright, so that's our pinch pot. From here you're going to start to build your animal. So you're going to take your secondary piece of clay and you're going to cut part of it off. But you need to figure out about how much you're going to need. So I think to make the head of my animal, I'm going to need half of this clay. So I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to reserve the rest of this for my legs for later. So this is half of my clay. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be making an owl. So I'm going to look at my drawings that I made of an owl and figure out how I need to make this face. So I'm going to kind of make this circle again. And for each of you, it's going to be slightly different. But I'm going to make a round face for my owl. His face is slightly long. I'm going to see how big or small it is compared to my pinch pot. And I think I like that. So I'm going to pinch it some more. And then I'm going to use my tools to help me out. So I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to use my tools to help me. So I have to make the eyes. So I'm going to press in and press in. Notice I'm twisting when I press because I didn't want that to get stuck to my owl face. Alright, and so then next I have my beak. So the beak's going to kind of come out. So I'm going to use one of these tools that I have. So this one that can help me pull some of it out. So I can always add more clay. I just want to pull some out. So if that doesn't work, that's okay. So Now I just have a spot for it to go into, so that's okay. I'm going to kind of pull it out there, put him on the side, and I'm going to make my beak now. So I'm going to roll a ball of clay, and then I think I'm actually going to make it into like a coil. So I'm going to put a little bit less, okay. So for my beak, I'm going to make it into a coil that's flat on both sides. So coil is a long skinny snake, and then I'm going to make it flat on both sides by just pressing on the opposite sides. Pointy, and just smooth it out. Smoothing it, the smoother your clay is, the more it'll be likely to actually survive. That's the bottom of my beak. And then beaks are two-parted. I'm going to take this, point it up, and then I'm going to test it out, see if I like them together. I like them now, before I attach anything, before I think anything's final. See if I like it on my actual bird. It's a little bit big. Trim it down just a little bit. And skinny it out. See how I didn't have to like ruin the whole thing? I just trimmed it, made it all work, and it was okay. You make it work. Much better. Okay, so I did a dry fit. I didn't attach anything in. I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to scratch up the surface where it's going to go, and then the surface it's actually attaching. Scratching up both of them. Then I'm going to take a tiny drop of water, putting it in there, and then I'm going to wiggle it a little bit to get kind of, to start to get it attached. And then I have to weld it together. So I'm scoring, I'm wetting, and I'm welding it. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to show you what it looks like when you weld something together. So it's not going to stay stuck together like it is now, because right now the water is creating a suction between the two pieces of clay. So I need to make sure that I'm making these two pieces of clay become one new piece of clay. So I'm going to take the bottom edge or pointy edge of my clay tool and I'm pushing them together. Turn, pushing them together. And see how they're now becoming like one piece of clay? You have to do this around the entire object, otherwise it will come off. Okay, so that is that. I can add some more details to my bird's face by adding some eyes, because their eyes like to stick out. So owl's eyes are really big. So I'm going to do that same thing where I roll the eyes into a ball, put it in there. I have to scratch it up on the inside, scratch it up on the other side, put a tiny bit of water, just a little tiny dot, put that in there. Perfect. And then I have to weld it all together. And then when you're welding these things, they don't look smooth at the end, or if they don't, you can go back with either your finger or with any of the tools and you can kind of smooth it out. See how I'm smoothing that out? And then I can take my finger, smooth it out also. So, after you have that whole thing complete, you're just start thinking about attaching. So, attaching is again a step where you need to score, wet, and weld, and you need to figure out where you're putting it. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to put my owl right here. So I'm going to dry fit and then I'm going to pull it off. So now I can see where it was. And then I'm going to scratch that back up. Scratch this front up. Flip it over. And make sure your head is totally done before you attach it to your person or your pinch pot animal, because it's really easy to accidentally mess it up. And it's really hard to fix it once it's on here. So I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to hold, and yet again, I'm going to weld these two pieces together. I'm going to go around my whole animal, pushing from the head down onto the body to make sure that my clay is attached and is now one piece of clay. You should have this whole part done by the end of class. Now, before I'm done, before I go any further, since he's already upside down, you need to make sure that you write your name. So I'm going to write my name, and 3, and the first letter of your teacher's last name, so I know who you belong to. So when I fire these and put them in the kiln, they all go together. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is the basics on attaching your head. Next we'll see legs and things like that.